The views expressed and the opinions given by the individual host, guest, random reptoid, or chupacabra may not necessarily reflect those of AM 950 Radio, its affiliates, or its sponsors. Now, it's time to step into the unknown. There are things people experience but never talk about. A shadow moving in the corner, flickering of the lights, a disembodied voice. We invite you to talk with us. Share your story, share your experience, because this isn't just your story, this is our story. This is GhostBox Radio with Greg Bakun.
And this is GhostBox Radio on AM 950, where every night we talk about the paranormal, ufology, Bigfoot, and so much more. And, this is my first night back in the studio in probably over a week. And it's amazing how it can sometimes be a little bit clunky. I'm not going to lie. But the last time we did a show was that great Halloween. And I'm really trying not to use terms like spooktacular because that's ridiculous. But it was a 3-hour adventure, wasn't it? We were able to get some spirit education. Adam was here in the studio, helping us out here, getting things going as he normally does. And he was talking about lights that were going on in here. And it was a really cool experience. The whole night was really good. We got a lot of rave reviews on it and stuff. So thank you for listening. I really do appreciate that very much. It was really something else. I'm going to be very honest about it. And then we took some time off to get ourselves back together. And lo and behold, come back. And just as I was starting up the program, the internet goes out here, which means that our friends who would normally watch us while we stream are unable to watch. And that's a bummer because tonight's guest is pretty amazing. But once we get the internet back up, we will put the podcast version up, and I'll make a video version just using graphics and stuff. But, here's the thing, though, okay? Now, if you listen to the Halloween episode, Adam was getting all that activity. Do you remember the REM pods going off? Do you remember him saying that a light was going on in the transmitter room, which I dare say I have not seen that before, and I'm actually kind of frightened to say that tonight. But the thing is now, here we are. Now the internet is out, and to get to the internet, to try to boot it back up, is basically, have you seen Jurassic Park? Have you seen the bit where they go and they have to go and try to repower like the whole complex? And it's not like something that's like, oh, let me press a button right next to me. No, I have to, and you might think, oh, come on, Greg, this is ridiculous. You just have to go upstairs. I have to go upstairs. This place has a very different vibe at night. Going through these rooms to get to the farthest part of this building to do something, and I didn't do it right, clearly, then to go to another room and do something else, which I also didn't do very well because we still don't have the internet here. So that being said, it kind of like I'm like, where are the velociraptors? Because that's where I'm thinking it's going to be happening around here, because it's not straightforward, is it? I mean, even my bug friends here who actually rule this building were unable to help me. They didn't know how to get the internet on. I came in, I went downstairs, I look up, there's this thing crawling on the ceiling. I don't even know what that is. Is that a beetle? Is it a cockroach? I mean, I don't know. But it was unable to help me. So here we are. For my dear friends who are listening tonight over the airs, I just want to say thank you very much. To my dear friends who would be streaming us tonight, we'll get something over to you, though, to watch. We'll get the podcast up. Here's why it's important to be able to enjoy it and for everyone to see it, because I have my friend Pamula Pierce on tonight, and she is keeping the fire alight to one of the great films in the early 1970s that rekindled, well, not even rekindled, it kindled the love for for Bigfoot, for Sasquatch, for people who want to research and find it. Her father, Charles B. Pierce, directed this film that you may have heard of called The Legend of Boggy Creek. And it is such a wonderful film, really gets you going. There's a lot of story behind it. We've had her on before, which was a great episode, but that's a while ago. There's a new 4K release that has just come out. I want to talk about that. I want to talk about remastering the film, but I also want to talk about her father's legacy as well as her legacy as well. So I just want to invite on Pamula Pierce. Welcome to GhostBox Radio. How are you tonight?
Oh, I'm so well. Thank you, Greg, for inviting me on to your show.
Thank you, and thank you for the patience of the madness that took place just right before you were able to get on. I mean, it was just, it's one of those nights, right? And of course, being my first night back after a while, I'm just thinking, well, what am I doing wrong? You know, did I unplug something when I came in? I don't know. But the good news here is that you are with me. I've been wanting to get you back on for a while, so thank you so very much for coming on. I want to talk about a number of things, but, I just really have to say how impressed I am by the work that you are doing, and I'm sure others are involved as well, with keeping the flame alight for this wonderful film that really is, I look at it as part film and actually part documentary in a sense. It's so amazing. It's so wonderful what you've been able to achieve, over the last 5 years, to kind of make sure people have the best quality version of this film available.
Yeah, we almost lost the film. I mean, if you saw it 5 years ago on some YouTube channel or whatever, you would have seen it. It had deteriorated to pretty much grayscale. It was, the copy that was available was what they call pan and scan, only giving us a thumbnail of what originally had been on the screen, and you didn't hear it very well. The sound had deteriorated as well. So it was saddening to me, and I had read for quite a while comments online where people would say, someone needs to work out the copyright and get us a good print. And I would think to myself, yes, someone needs to do that, never understanding at the time that somebody was going to be me. But it's been a joy. It has been such a pleasure to do. The Legend of Boggy Creek truly has the most wonderful fans, very passionate, and it's been just, like I said, it's been a privilege to do, and so fun, really.
I believe it, and I remember, like you said, that there were versions of the film out that were not the greatest quality. It seemed like, almost in a sense, kind of like a lost film, because, like you said, it was always pan and scan. It always looked like it was from a 16 millimeter, film print. It just, it looked like it really needed some work. Now, you also had Lyle Blackburn, didn't you? Have you kind of help you find and track down certain elements?
So, yes, Lyle has become like my brother, truly. He, early on, about 2017, I think, he reached out to me and said that there was a print available on eBay. And he told me that he had been watching for about 10 years, and that was the first one that he had ever seen come up for auction. So the bidding was already, it was about close to $2,000. But he told me that was unusual for a print. And he said, I know that it's not in the public domain, but we both knew that there were rumors. And he said, the way that this bidding is going, I'm concerned that's, that it might have something to do with that. So I got in there and was determined to win that auction, and I did win. the print did have vinegar syndrome.
Okay.
But it took us to that level when the print came in. I posted a photo online on social media, and fans got very excited, and several of them wrote to me in private messages asking if I had a group, anyone to restore and remaster it. And it was like, no, I haven't gotten that far yet. Anyway, they said, we had one fan in particular said that he had a connection with the George Eastman Museum, and would I like him to put me in touch. Early on, an attorney had told me that I should try and think like my dad. And so, when it comes to his business, I always try to go into that mode. So when they mentioned the George Eastman Museum and telling me that they had restorative services and all that stuff there, it was just, I knew that name. Was film, all the time while my dad was making movies. So I reached out to them, and they agreed. After looking at it, and discussions and stuff, they agreed that they would try. And so our first step, they took that film and they cleaned it and they checked it and whatever. But as I said, it did have vinegar syndrome. So we went into this kind of powwow mood for months trying to find this other print. Now, let me go back. I'll tell you why they were so scarce.
Mm-hmm.
So when my dad and Mr. Ledwell, his partner, who had financed the film, had broken up, Mr. Ledwell was in a different business. He was in the trucking business, never had been in the movie business. So he was all done. He was putting the film away, and he asked that all the copies be sent back there to Texarkana. And there were approximately 650 prints of the film. Each print consisted of 5 reels of film. So when they shipped 650 prints to Texarkana, Mr. Lidwell told me that they were swimming in film.
Oh, yeah.
And so they ordered them burned, because that's how they took care of these kind of things back then. So they burned them all pretty much at once. So that destroyed all of those copies. And so there were just stray ones left here or there. So the one that I had picked up had been in New Orleans at the original Joy Cinema, which is very cool, even with vinegar syndrome, that it had come from there. But anyway, so we were commiserating, trying to find out, where other prints may be. And so someone here in the States has one, and I'd heard rumors that Quentin Tarantino had one. So, but you can't just call Quentin Tarantino up on the phone and say, "Hey, can I borrow? Is it true that you have a Boggy Creek print, and can I borrow it?" So it was kind of one of those things, just touching around. And so finally, at one point in time, one day we were talking, and Kyle, one of the guys that I was working with at Eastman, said, so he knew of someone, and he said, I wish I could give you this information, whatever. Anyway, so we were going all around, and I said something, I don't know if it's true, but I had heard a rumor that the BFI had a copy, and when I said that, he said, that's it. The BFI is like the Library of Congress here, and if you show a film there, they're required to keep a copy. And so he said, I'm going to call you right back. We work with the BFI on a regular basis. Let me call them, and I'll see if indeed there is one. And there was. So he asked for it to be shipped over, immediately, and that's when the adventure began in earnest.
That's pretty incredible. Now, just as a side note, that not that I could have helped, but I also work with the BFI, as it happens.
I do.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah,
they really turned out to be quite a wonderful resource.
It really is, and I've pushed people that way a number of times. Now, I'm curious though. There is no negative left, huh?
So there is I guess that was about in maybe June when we found that. And so they started working on it. But we had been looking for the negatives for several years. And about in October of that year, I was actually in Texarkana when it happened. Mr. Riddle reached out to me and said, I think we found what you've been looking for. Mm. And so they had an inner positive negative, I think, is what it was. And then they also had our original magnetic sound reels, and there were copies of Where the Red Fern Grows in there. It was kind of a little treasure trove of material, and it had been, so we had been looking for that cache for a while. Mm-hmm. And it turned out to be in an upstairs conference room there in a back closet. So I went over right away. I actually filmed it. But by that time, we had already, like Kyle that I was working with again, he was the tech guy. Mm-hmm. He said that we were already too far, advanced into our BFI copy to start over. And he said that we wouldn't have gotten any better of a print. Now, later on, we went back and we started completely over, but I didn't understand that. This sounds really ignorant, but I didn't understand that they were starting completely over and getting the print back. Kyle ended up leaving. He left George Eastman, and then I ended up going to his supervisor, and we went back and we did a whole new print. Mm-hmm. So, and I'm guessing that they used the BFI print as well. They just kind of did it, and then it was kind of done. So,
I don't think there's anything ignorant about somebody who is thrown into the world of film restoration and is doing a pretty good job with it. So I think it sounds like you're doing all right, to be honest.
Thank you. Well, so that was important that I really that I went to professionals, kind of, because I didn't know. I didn't know. So I wanted to put myself in the best hands, professional hands, and rely on, on their expertise. So that's what I've done. And we did, as you know, we re-engineered the sound this last go-round. We did the 5.1 surround sound, and we used Audio Mechanics again, and they're also just wonderful. They really are pros.
Absolutely. Pamela, why don't we go ahead and do this? I'm going to go ahead and take our first break. When we come back, we're going to continue talking about the restoration of this film, The Legend of Boggy Creek. You may have heard of it, as well as talking about the film itself. There's a lot to talk about, a great subject, a great guest. You're listening to GhostBox Radio on AM 950. Greg Bakun here. I love historic tours of Minneapolis and seeing everything it has to offer. But if you know me, I like to include a little spooky in my tours, which is why I found the perfect combination. Minneapolis Trolley Tours does this amazing candlelight ghost tour that you have to check out. It's an extremely immersive experience. It's a trolley trip that starts out at a haunted mansion, traveling around Minneapolis locations exposing ghost stories that the public and business owners would rather left untold. Then a tour of the aforementioned haunted mansion where ghosts of past residents from the 1800s reside, plus a lot of surprises to discover. Next, experience Gertrude's After Hours. Did I mention Gertrude is the mansion's most famous ghost? Maybe she'll show up. And you finish up the tour at Gertrude's Lounge in the haunted basement of the mansion with refreshments and Q&A. The trolleys are climate controlled and the mansion is restored to perfection. Check out MinneapolisTrolleyTours.com for more information. Have you ever met someone who not only can help you on a deep spiritual level, but also potentially change your life? Refined Divine is an extremely gifted psychic medium who travels the nation and lives right here in the Midwest. And she offers mediumship, mentorship, house and business parties, energy healing, palm readings, and so much more. Refined Divine has helped thousands, and she can help you.
Hi, this is Psychic Medium Deb. I cannot wait to hear from you. You can go to refineddivinepsychic.com.
Santa shows up early from Gritty Gear Company as they hold their Christmas and July sale now through July 28th. Get t-shirts for $19.99 and hoodies for $39.99. And it's never too early to see their new Halloween and fall clothing designs just added to the site. This sale does not include custom orders or requests. Gritty Gear's clothing is of the highest quality. Gritty Gear is a locally owned small business who simply wants you to look great. Check out their Christmas and July sale now through July 28th at GrittyGearCompany.com. Greg Bakun here. I've told you about the out-of-the-world roast beef sandwiches at Maverick's Real Roast Beef, but I haven't told you about their Philly steak sandwiches, turkey bacon avocado sandwich, BLT, crispy chicken, fish sandwiches, brisket, or pulled pork. Okay, you get the idea. They make a lot of delicious food to the same standard as their famous roast beef sandwiches, and now I'm starving. I'm going to go to Maverick's Real Roast Beef off Lexington and Roseville, and you need to go too. Check out their menu at mavericksbeef.com.
Reach your highest level of consciousness and well-being with metamorphosisconnections.com. Metamorphosisconnections.com is an online directory of the best holistic and metaphysical practitioners to help you make your most informed choices. You can search metamorphosisconnections.com for classes, events, wellness and life coaches, plus metaphysical products and shops. You can also search for a wide array of healers from all modalities, including EFT, sound healing, energy healing, light therapy, ancestral healing, shamanic healing, reflexology, past life regressions, hypnotherapy, yoga, and more. And if you're not sure where to start, the search feature on metamorphosisconnections.com is tailored to help both those who know what they are looking for and those who are just starting. Come explore the possibilities for your higher self by visiting metamorphosisconnections.com. Their experienced practitioners can guide both beginners and those that are already on their spiritual journey. That's metamorphosisconnection.com, your link to direct you on your spiritual transformation.
And welcome back to GhostBox Radio on AM 950. My name is Greg Bakun, back after a couple days of just trying to take a little bit of break after that incredible Halloween episode. How fantastic. Once again, thank you to Midwest Witchery and Healing, and thank you to everybody over at the Grand Garage in Stillwater for really making it work. That includes the Tilted Tiki, as well as Locale Maker Market. A lot of people gave up a lot of their time to hang out and make things work for us. So thank you very much. I have with me tonight, I have Pamula Pierce, whose father had directed The Legend of Boggy Creek. We are talking a little bit more technical than usual, but this is one of my favorite sort of subjects, is talking about film restoration. And for a woman who says that, she just kind of figuring out, she seems to be answering all the questions just perfectly in terms of the restoration of Legend of Boggy Creek. So Pamela, thank you very much for that. And, George Eastman House, that's really, it couldn't be a better place to do restoration on that level. That's very impressive.
It really truly was. To go to their facilities was otherworldly, really. Like I said, I've been a homemaker and a homeschool mom and that kind of stuff. So to go into this realm has been a new world, but so exciting, and things that my dad would talk about now kind of come to the forefront, and they're coming back. So like I said, it's been such a great adventure, and I think it's just starting, to be honest with you. I have big plans for that restored and remastered print. So Boggy Creek will be coming to fans soon. I can't wait to share more. I wanted to tell you a little bit of a paranormal experience, though, if I could.
Please do. Please do.
So I was watching the check disc right at the end there, and I had the 4K on, and I was watching the 4K print, and I was really crying, shedding tears, saying, I just can't even believe how beautiful this looks. And I was saying to my husband, I hope somehow my dad can see this, or that somehow he knows about this. Well, a couple of days later, at the most, I get a message from this Facebook friend that I've been friends with for about 10 years, but never really communicated, in a message kind of situation. Mm-hmm. She writes to me and she said, please don't unfriend me or, block me or whatever. I promise you I'm not crazy. She said, but I get these messages and I can't rest until I share them. And I have one for you. And she said, I'm pretty sure it's coming from maybe your dad. It's a male. And she said, he wants you to know that he loves the color. Oh, and she said, wow. I don't know if that's a garden, because I wasn't talking about this online, So she said, I don't know if it's a garden he's talking about or whatever, but he wants you to know that he really loves the color. And so immediately my, thoughts regarding, I hope he can see this somehow, or, it came flooding back. And that 4K is just, the color is so beautiful. And when the movie was released, in your intro, you were saying a documentary style. Boggy Creek was released initially in the 72-75 run as a documentary.
Yeah.
And it was lauded by critics for its cinematography, being, really beautiful and all that kind of stuff. All of that had dissipated through that horrible print that had existed. And people had forgotten that it really was a beautiful film to watch. So I hope that's all back now and that those traits are, going to be revealed again.
That is really amazing. So your friend had a psychic message from your father.
That's what it sounded like, yeah.
And I don't know. Sorry, go ahead.
No, it gave me a lot of comfort to hear that, And she didn't know that I was, that I was working on this per se, and so it was a little uncanny, I think, but it felt real, and so I'm going to take it as that.
I would. And, I mean, I don't know if you ever have much experience with psychic mediums, but that is not uncommon, where a spirit really wants to get in touch with them or with somebody, and the psychic medium is the conduit, and the person won't let it rest until they deliver the message.
That's what she said. She said, I didn't want you to think I was crazy, and because we had never communicated like this. She said, I didn't know that about her, that she received messages like that. So,
wow.
It just kind of came out of the blue, but it was a happy message, I felt.
It's a super happy message, and it's absolutely incredible. I myself only have the Blu-ray so far. I will be upgrading soon. But the 4K is available through your website, correct?
It is, yes, sir.
And,
www.legendofboggycreek.com.
So definitely, you all need to go get it as it happens. And he's listening right now, and I hope he doesn't mind me talking about him on the air. My friend Robert, who lives in my basement. He rents the basement. I made it sound really weird when I just said he just lives in my basement. He's a big fan of the film, and he got the 4K. And what's really cool about getting the 4K is that the envelope it comes in also has the poster imprinted on the envelope itself.
It does, yes. That turned out to be a big hit. I was a little bit surprised, but happily surprised. There's a printer, I don't even know if I can say its name, but I will, Sticker Mule, and they make those things, and it's really not any more expensive for me to order them like that than it would be normally, so why not treat, right? a couple of people, there was one person that fussed and said, I hate bubble mailers. And it was on a video, but then they came back and said, but I'm saving this bubble mailer.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah.
It's really nice.
Yeah. Thank you. So it was I wanted it to, when it arrived, for everybody to see that it was there.
I mean, it just goes to show the love for it. And Robert actually just texted me, and he said that he just also wanted to say how much he loved the color of the film. I mean, especially when you're putting all of your heart and soul into it, right? And it's like you're like, this is for you, Dad, and just really trying to make it as good as it can be. That's pretty incredible.
The technology today as well. So the 4K format perfectly masks the original Technoscope wide angle. So it was almost like it was made to happen. These things almost feel faded. When I'm working on this project, the way that it's fallen into place is just really amazing. And I'll tell you on your show, I haven't said it to anybody, but since they let it go on their show a couple of weeks ago, I'll share a tiny little piece. I kept getting, I believe in God, and I kept getting this, that I should go to the Duck Dynasty gift shop. And I know that sounds like the gift shop. Oh, okay. But I had been hired to come down for the first inaugural Louisiana Bigfoot Festival. And I was driving, and my husband was with me. He was actually driving. And we were coming into Shreveport, and I was seeing the Monroe signs, Monroe, Louisiana, where the Duck Commander headquarters are. And I said to my husband, God is telling me to go to the gift shop. And he said, well, then we better go. Anyway, we went, and nothing really happened that day, except we were walking through, and it says Duck Commander on one side, Buck Commander on the other. And my husband says, you should invite these guys to Falk to hunt the creature. Mm-hmm. So the next day, I'm with the promoter of the event, and we're talking. He was like, how was your ride in? And so I told him we went through Monroe and what David had said. And he's actually he owns a production company, this guy who I was talking to. And he said, oh, I want to be a part of that show. And so you could see the light bulbs going off. He said, wait, I know some of those guys. And then he said, oh, would you like me to share your contact information? And, of course, I did,
Yeah.
So the next day, they connected me with Zach Dasher. And Zach just released the movie The Blind, which is the bio on Phil Robertson. That was released on September 28th, and it's been a huge hit.
Yeah.
And I'm so excited for them. But we're going to be their next movie. We'll be their number 2 movie, and so we are doing new Legend of Boggy Creek films.
You're kidding me.
No, I'm not kidding you.
Wow. So is this...
So
go ahead. Yeah, wow.
So we're in development now for a trio is what we're starting with. So hopefully there'll be an entirely new franchise of Legend of Boggy Creek films.
Wow. I did not expect that at all tonight. That is absolutely incredible. Wow.
So I've been real hush-hush about it, but they actually started talking about it on Phil's Unabashed podcast about 10 days ago. So the cat's kind of out of the bag. But that's what we're developing now. And we're actually pretty far along with it, but it's going to be so exciting. Unbelievable the group that God is bringing in. And I can't share yet who it is, but an unbelievable writer, very famous in that world, and it's going to be great.
It is going to be great. I'm getting some some responses through text by what they're hearing, and that's thank you for sharing that with us, Pamela. That's fantastic news. I didn't expect breaking news from the Boggy Creek world today. I mean, this is very, very cool. I cannot wait for more information to come out about this. This is so cool.
I've shipped to about 38 countries. My little mailers going all out. And the film really it's beloved in Germany, in Great Britain, in Australia. And I don't have the knowledge, any of those things to take Boggy Creek where it needs to be. And so I knew that I was going to have to join with, larger forces and all of that kind of stuff. And being in Hollywood is a little bit like swimming with the sharks, So I was very prayerful about how I went about the whole thing. And so to be able to work with those people, that group, I'm super excited about.
Well, congratulations. You truly deserve this. I bet your father's just grinning ear to ear right now.
So it's interesting. My dad's first job out of high school was with the NBC affiliate out of Monroe, Louisiana, El Dorado. There's a station there, and that's where he got started. Mm-hmm. I was born in Monroe, Louisiana. Mm-hmm. And so he, and my mother was from right there. So that's where it kind of started for at least us.
Yeah.
So to go back there and have that connection is just really...
It's full circle.
I mean, yeah, I think so. So, and my dad had a little TV show back then even, so it was, it's fitting, I think.
Absolutely. Pamela, why don't we go ahead and do this? Let's get in our next break while we can. We're going to be continuing talking about this film. There's probably not much more we could talk about with what she just shared with us, but how cool, huh? We're going to come back, talk to Pamela Pierce. You're listening to GhostBox Radio on AIM 950. Greg Bakun here. I love historic tours of Minneapolis and seeing everything it has to offer. But, if you know me, I like to include a little spooky in my tours, which is why I found the perfect combination. Minneapolis Trolley Tours does this amazing candlelight ghost tour that you have to check out. It's an extremely immersive experience. It's a trolley trip that starts out at a haunted mansion, traveling around Minneapolis locations exposing ghost stories that the public and business owners would rather left untold. Then a tour of the aforementioned haunted mansion where ghosts of past residents from the 1800s reside, plus a lot of surprises to discover. Next, experience Gertrude's After Hours. Did I mention Gertrude is the mansion's most famous ghost? Maybe she'll show up. And you finish up the tour at Gertrude's Lounge in the haunted basement of the mansion with refreshments and Q&A. The trolleys are climate controlled and the mansion is restored to perfection. Check out MinneapolisTrolleyTours.com for more information. Greg Bakun here. Like you, I love good, fresh, delicious food. So I want to tell you about this treasure in Roseville called Maverick's Real Roast Beef. Maverick's has the best roast beef sandwiches I've ever had. Made fresh every order. Add fries or onion rings dropped in the fryer when ordered, and you have a winning combination. Maverick's Real Roast Beef has a lot more than roast beef, so check out their website, mavericksbeef.com, or check out their restaurant on Lexington in Roseville.
We know you value buying local, especially when it comes to your magical supplies. So if you're looking for grimoires, decks, jewelry, candles, or herbs that are locally sourced, then come on down to Magus Books and Herbs. Curated for your ritual, ceremonial, spiritual, and spellwork needs, we've got all the tools to make your working extra. So make that prosperity ritual one that keeps on giving by visiting us at 1848 Central Avenue Northeast in Minneapolis, or visit us online at magisbooks.com.
Santa shows up early from Gritty Gear Company as they hold their Christmas and July sale now through July 28th. Get t-shirts for $19.99 and hoodies for $39.99. And it's never too early to see their new Halloween and fall clothing designs just added to the site. This sale does not include custom orders or requests. Gritty Gear's clothing is of the highest quality. Gritty Gear is a locally owned small business who simply wants you to look great. Check out the Christmas and July sale now through July 28th at grittygearcompany.com. And join us for the rest of the week on GhostBox Radio with Greg Bakun. Tomorrow night, we're going to have on author Cheryl Lynn Carter. She's going to return. We're going to be talking about her book Dimensions, as well as Wednesday, we're going to have on Char Savoy. You may have heard her on such radio programs as this one, we're going to be talking about bridging the gap between the metaphysical, spiritualism, paranormal, talk about energy quite a bit. That's going to be a fantastic conversation. On Thursday, we're going to have on Jeff Mudgett, another author. You may have seen him on a number of History Channel documentaries and stuff. We're going to be talking about, what else? H.H. Holmes. That's going to be another great conversation. And then, of course, Friday, Casual Friday, where we talk about paranormal news, oddities, your comments, letters, everything else. So it's going to be a great week. And we start off strong this week with Miss Pamula Pierce. We've been talking about the 4K release of The Legend of Boggy Creek, that you can get that now. And Pamela, the URL again for that is www.legendofboggycreek.com.
It is. That's right.
So folks, go ahead. And you also have Blu-ray version available as well if they don't have 4K, correct?
We do, and we still have good old DVD.
Good old DVD?
Good old DVD. And this time we went to Technicolor to press our disc.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't think that was going to make that big of a difference, but it made a huge difference. And so when we released our first print in January 2020,
mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, I lost my thought. So we thought it was good. I mean, I thought it. I mean, how could it get any better? It was, I thought it was great. But this one is better. I hate to say that, but it is. It's a lot better. And you wouldn't think that pressing from one person pressing the disc to a different person pressing the disc, but there's a difference. So you learn every day something new.
And, the thing about it, and please don't take this the wrong way because I don't mean it as I say it, but, when a film is reduced to 4:3 pan and scan, the color goes away, it can give the impression of a B film, which Boggy Creek is not a B film. So for it to be able to have that restoration and that care put into it, because it sounds to me, if Lyle didn't reach out to you, if you didn't get those prints, who knows what would have happened with to be able to get this film out in a beautiful format.
It really would have been lost, Greg. No one else was making any moves to do that and to restore it and remaster it. I did have to go back to Mr. Ledwell because he held the key always.
Mm-hmm.
And Mr. Ledwell is a little bit difficult to get in touch with. You don't just call him up and say, hey, bud. So it would have been lost. I mean, I'm fairly sure it would have been lost. And that would have been so sad. And exactly as you were saying, it had kind of developed this B movie, and hey, it is a low-budget film, make no mistake, it is. But it was done in such a way that it is a beautiful film, and it is a worthy film. It's pioneering and all those things. And so it deserved to have its place, and I'm just so glad that I was the one that God chose to do it. I really am. It has been such a blast and such a feeling of, really, I know this sounds kind of silly, but love, like it's fulfilling. It fills up your soul kind of to do something like this and know that it's going to go on past my time. And that's why I went back and I started completely over and did a new print. I had about maybe 6 people say something about this judder to me. It kind of jumped a little bit starting halfway through, I guess. And when it was brought to my attention, I saw it and I couldn't unsee it. And my husband was like, nobody's even said anything about this. And I said, I don't care if anyone ever says anything about it. I have one job to do. And my thing was, my dad had gotten into a flat-bottom boat with 5 high school guys and that great big camera and was able to film it. I needed to do my very best to make sure that it was stable and all of those things. So it is now. We did it. Yeah. Finally, it's done. My job in that part is done. It was such a relief, too. I have to tell you, that was because it kind of felt like a monkey on my back while I was doing it.
Oh, I'm sure. And I think it's interesting that, okay, you've now remastered it. You've remastered to the level that is the highest level available for commercial release at the moment. So what do? You go ahead and you start making new Legend of Boggy Creek films. I mean that's not too shabby, Pamela. I'm gonna be honest. Not too shabby at all.
When you hear the writer, it's going to blow everyone away. It is so thrilling. It's perfect. It really is. You know God's behind it because it's miraculous kind of stuff.
That is amazing. Now, have you thought about sending the film to the Library of Congress to see if you can get it to just be, kind of immortalized on that end of things?
I would love to, yes, and that is on my to-do list for sure. So I do need to strike now. That's coming up. I'll need to strike a new interpositive, whatever that I have to strike a new negative, actually. And so I'll be doing that shortly. And then I would like it to, what is the name of that, where they pick out the films every year into that?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and we were nominated last year or the year before. But anyway, hopefully we will make it all the way in. And that on that list, that Library of Congress list.
Yeah, that would be amazing, wouldn't it? That would be pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm going to have to organize some grassroots campaigns and get all the fans to write in.
Yeah,
because I think that's kind of what it is. I think it's a nominated. It's nominated and then voted on.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, and there's also, because you talked about working with the BFI, there's also the AFI, the American Film Institute.
Correct.
I mean, there's a lot of great options for this film to be recognized. Especially now that you have this beautiful version, and you also have, if I'm not mistaken, you have Lyle Blackburn on his commentary as well, right?
Yes, sir. So Lyle did our commentary for our bonus features, and then we added never-before-seen outtakes that when we had found that whole stash there at Red Wolf, there were outtakes. Oh. So we were able to include those. Lyle is an expert on Boggy Creek, as you know.
Yes.
And he's really just, his information and sharing of his information is really informative and entertaining, and he did a really good job.
That's great. I mean, that's so great that he loves it so much. You want to help. How long have you known Lyle?
So I've only known Lyle since about maybe 2015. You know, I saw his books and everything, but I was doing my own thing, taking care of my kids. I have 5 kids, and just not really paying attention to Boggy Creek. I was made the administratrix of my dad's estate in 2014, and so I couldn't tell what was what. I had no paperwork. All my dad's paperwork had been taken. Everything had disappeared. And so I really didn't have a direction to go in, and just kind of floundered around for a while until I thought, well, you know, I'm going to go back to the beginning. I'm going to just go back to Mr. Ledwell and see if I can find out something there. And that's where the key was, of course. But you know, it was before that, I just didn't have any idea, and I'm still learning every day. I mean, I find out new things all the time. I'm very close to the copyright of Boggy Creek 2, The Legend Continues. I have figured out where that is. I'm almost 99% sure. What's out there now is, I don't know. Anyway, we'll see. I think I'm going to film it as I go because I'm getting real close to that copyright, as I said. So if that happens, we'll see which direction it goes. Now,
refresh my memory. You're in the first one, right?
Yes, sir. So I was 10 years old when the movie was made, and I'm in the scene with my real mother. She plays Bessie Smith, and I run in saying, Grandpa, we saw the fountain monster. And my mother says, be quiet, you're going to wake your grandfather. I'm going to get a switch. You don't be quiet. And then we go out into the field and we see him. And my mother yells, don't run. And she's running. So that's my first scene. And then I'm in Boggy Creek, too. Yeah. And I'm at the swimming hole with the jet skis, and I've got the headband on, which I guess Mystery Science Theater gets a big kick out of.
That's true. And Don Wells is in it as well, right?
So Don Wells is, I think, in Return to Boggy Creek. Which
not the second one. Okay.
Yeah. So that movie was done because of the success of Boggy Creek, but my dad didn't do it. My dad didn't want to do any more Boggy Creeks after the first one. It was like, well, I did that. Now I want to go explore new things. But all anyone wanted was for him to go back to Boggy Creek. So finally, when Boggy Creek 2 comes around, of course, he and Mr. Ledwell had split, and so he changes up the format. He changes the name. It's technically not a sequel. So it was just kind of out there. Okay. And then, but, a lot of people make fun of that movie, and it really deserves a little bit more credit than it probably gets. Boggy Creek 2 Bigfoot TV shows are kind of mimicking, where they take the scientific equipment and they go out into the field, and so it wasn't that far out of it.
I feel. Go ahead. Sorry.
Okay. No, but think about it. I mean, to have somebody like Crenshaw who was holding the baby hostage for a carnival kind of a situation is. I mean, somebody would do something like that, probably.
Probably. I was just going to say the first one seems to be kind of the prototype to the series In Search Of, the narrated series with Leonard Nimoy, because that always seemed to be kind of interchangeable with the way that they shot stuff. And I always thought, boy, it just kind of, and I say that as a very big fan of In Search Of. I think that just really, it's kind of, it's a little bit on the raw side in a good way.
Mm-hmm. Well, it always has reminded me of Unsolved Mysteries, even back again with the narration and that whole thing. Legend of Boggy Creek pioneers the docudrama format.
Yes, that's
so it
very true.
Fits that whole thing in tone. Yeah,
I think that is a very, very good point. And that once again, I mean, you had the Patterson-Gimlin film of what we believe is a real creature in 1967, but Legend of Boggy Creek that explodes open the genre for that type of film of Bigfoot, is my understanding.
It was almost perfect timing, the Patterson-Gimlin film, and then Boggy Creek, coming at around the same time, just exploded, I think, that whole phenomena.
Absolutely. Once again, folks, to get your 4K, your Blu-ray, your DVD of The Legend of Boggy Creek, please go to www.legendofboggycreek.com. Please support this. A lot of work has gone into this, and really great. Pamula Pierce, thank you so very much for joining us tonight. This was fantastic.
Thank you so much for inviting me, Greg.
Oh, my pleasure. We'll be back tomorrow with Cheryl Lynn Carter. Have a great night, everyone.